Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of The Other Side of Addiction. Again, man, you guys have heard me say this many, many, many times. I just love these days. I love interviewing people. And the reason, one of the number one reasons why I love doing these shows is because I get to sit down with some of the most incredible people that I've ever met in my life. And these are people who have gone through resilience, right? Just like Resilience Talk Network. These are people who, gosh, got a shovel and dug a freaking hole really, really deep. Yet they figured out a way to get out of that hole. So I am really looking forward to sit down with my good friend Chris Wright. Chris, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to be with us.
Thank you, Al. You're the man. I appreciate
Well,
everything.
thank you. And before I forget, because sometimes I do, my brain gets going crazy sometimes during these interviews. I want to say
Uh,
thank you to Shane Whiting because he is the
oh,
one that
yes, he
introduced
just
us.
connected us.
And I love Kat and Shane. They are some of the most amazing individuals, as you know,
Yeah,
that I've ever met in my life. So
in
Shane,
the
thank
world.
you for making this introduction. I greatly appreciate it.
Yes, thank you for remembering that too. I should have.
Yeah, and I'm glad that I did because sometimes I
Me
forget
too.
and then I have to go in and make up for it. But hey, guys, just to give you a little bit of history about Chris. So Chris is a father of three boys. He's been married to the same lovely lady for 16 years. Actually, you got an anniversary coming up in August, if I'm not
Yep,
mistaken.
yep.
And he started his own company at 19. Now, when people start their own company, you think they're going to stay with it. Chris had a different idea. He decided he was going to step away from the business that he started at a very young age to do something more important. And see, I'm already getting emotional because this is how much this stuff hits me. He wanted to start helping people that are struggling with addiction. He wanted to be one of those guys that put out his hands and say, "Man, I've been there. Here's my hand. What can I do to help you through your journey?" Because a lot of us who have battled addiction and those that have watched this show know you cannot do recovery alone, man. You got to have a higher power, and you've also got to have what I like to call the angels beside you to put
Yep.
out their hand. And we talked a little bit before the show, and what we would like to talk about today is the addiction process. And Chris, you put that down in your bio. What did you mean by the addiction process? Because there's a lot of different ways you can look at it, right?
Yeah, there's a ton of different ways. For me, it's like you said, no one wakes up every day or any day thinking, I'm going to go get addicted to something today. Mine started for me, I hurt my back. And then they rolled me onto Percocets. And then from there, I had to be moved to Oxycontin, and that lasted for a very long time. But not until I went through White Tree did I realize that it wasn't my fault. And that's the hard thing too. And that's my main message today. If you can understand anything, understand how the brain works, especially when you're addicted to something and you become that frontal lobe thinker, and all you can think about is that next dopamine spike. Nothing else will ever matter until you are off, other than that dopamine spike. And we know it, we've all been there.
Yeah.
And I'm very lucky. I like that you said angels beside you. I Sorry, buddy.
No, don't be sorry, dude, because I get emotional. You heard me just as I was talking, doing your bio, I was getting emotional. So it's okay. And
Um, I just wish people realize that you can feel better without having to suffer like you think you do. Um, I love people unconditionally. I always have. I always will. I don't know. I don't care if I know you very well or if I just met you. My love is the same for people, and I feel like that's not utilized enough in this industry. Everyone just Nobody gives a shit about addicts. Let's be honest, right?
yeah,
Nobody really does. And that's the sad part.
I'll rephrase it. Not nobody,
Yeah.
but there is a large majority.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. They all think that it's their fault and they're making the bad decisions, which to a point definitely is the case. But you never know what someone else has been through. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you don't know why they started to do that. You don't know what happened in their life or who they are, or now the new things we're learning about the genetic code and stuff. It's actually in our genetic code. It's in my genetic makeup that I enjoy opiates. And I thought I was Superman for many years, not realizing it was destroying my life and destroying the relationships around me and all the people. I remember when I detoxed, I was just sitting on my couch. It had been about 10 days and I was just sweating through shirt after shirt. And I just started bawling. And it was like I woke up 11 years ago in my brain. I'm texting all my old buddies who I've pushed away, all the people in my life over the last 10, 11 years that I just, not necessarily bad relationships, but I just didn't, I turned into just myself. I was away from everybody. It's funny. My kids call me new daddy. I think I've shared that with you before, which really makes me sad because my oldest is 11. So which means none of my kids have known me sober. And that's really hard.
Yeah.
That's really hard. So, I can't take it back. And I just have to move forward. And if I can make this change and help someone change one person, it's worth it to me.
Yeah. Well,
and like you said, go ahead.
I just saying that one person, Chris, is a snowball effect, right?
Oh, heck yeah.
I mean, we don't have to go out there and, I mean, we would love to, right? There is no doubt we would love to go out there and be able to change the world and change 100 people's lives like that.
Tomorrow.
We know that's not possible.
Yep.
However, like you said, we can change one person's life. If we can get a message to one person, if whatever we say or whatever we share can resonate with one person, that one person is going to take that and he's going to help or she's going to help one person. And it's going to just continue. It'll just continue to grow in a positive way instead of the negative way. Because how many times have you heard people get into relationships where their partner was an addict with them not even really kind of knowing it, and they drug them into it, right? So then they started a whole new pattern.
Yep.
That snowball effects happen, right? Then it happens to their kids if they end up having kids, or their siblings or whatever.
Definitely.
It's the opposite direction.
Yes.
And the reason why I mentioned angels, and I've said this on the show so many times, and I probably will continue to do it, even if our listeners are getting tired of hearing it. We interviewed a gal out of Phoenix, and she was 30 years sober, and she has a son who is battling addiction, and she's a mom. Every time that phone rings, it scares her, right? Because she thinks this is the call that I'm going to get that says my son has passed, right?
Yep.
She was speaking with a lady in church, and the lady in church says, look at it this way. Maybe it'll help you. The ones who don't win the battle, God knows. Now, see, this is where I get emotional. God knows the addiction has got such a hold on them that they're not going to be able to get away from it. So he brings them back home to take them out of their pain. However, the ones that no matter how long their battle goes, they finally find what they need to find to get themselves out of it.
Yep.
Those are now the angels walking amongst us to help the other people who are going through that same addiction. And I got emotional when she was telling me that.
Oh yeah.
Because to me, it's being in this realm, the addiction community for the past over 2 years, I'm seeing it. I'm seeing it almost on a daily basis. That's exactly what's happening.
Yeah. And it is. It's so I have My brother's wife was on the same stuff, converted to heroin, couldn't get off, ended up taking her life a few years ago.
Oh,
I don't know how much longer my brother has. Not long. Yeah, addiction runs deep, deep.
yeah, very deep.
I feel her. I feel her around me. I know. I felt. I know she was helping me. I know she was.
I would have to agree with that.
And I love what you said, that God took him home for a reason.
Yeah.
He did.
Well, and even though he took him home, right?
Yep.
She may be an angel that's not walking the earth. She may be the other type of angel that still
Yep.
has helped motivate you, right? And whisper
Oh, she
things
is,
in your ears. Because
for
I'm
sure.
a huge believer in that. I'm a
Hell
huge
yeah.
believer we get help from the other side of the veil.
Hell yeah, we do. Like 1,000,000%.
Yeah.
I could not agree more.
You know, something also, Chris, that touched me when you talked about your kids and who they see who you are now. And you said I believe it was your 11-year-old that calls you new daddy, right? We interviewed a gentleman. Matter of fact, I do some work for this gentleman, and he said he did his best to hide his alcoholism from his kids, you know, and he thought he was doing a wonderful job, right? And when he finally decided to quit drinking because he was going to lose his family, and he decided it wasn't worth it. And he said one day his son passed him in the hall at the house and said, "I really like who you are, Dad." Or who you are becoming. And he said that literally floored him
Oh yeah, I
because he
can.
had no clue that his drinking was causing so much pain for his child because he thought he was hiding it so well, right? Because when we're addicts, we're all pretty sneaky, right?
Oh yeah.
And we can get away with it to a certain point.
Yep.
However, in the outside world, people can see, they can
Oh
tell
yeah.
something's not right.
Yes, definitely. It's, you couldn't have hit it more perfectly. My boys knew. I mean, just in the sense of like going out and play catch, little stupid things, like I was just a couch potato. It had just gotten a hold of me to the point where my mornings consisted of letting the Suboxone dissolve under my tongue for 2 hours. Then all of a sudden it's noon. Then I'm trying to go to the gym. All of a sudden it's 3:30, 4 o'clock, and my kids are getting out of school, and I haven't done shit for the day.
Yeah.
Like, and that was that after COVID, that turned into my life for a while. And I was just, finally, my wife was just like, look, it's time to get shit together. You know what I mean? So, um, I didn't see it. I didn't realize it. Like you said, and I did a very good job of hiding it because I talked to some of my neighbors and people, we moved a few months ago, and they're like, I had no idea. And I'm like, well, that's good. But the people close to me definitely did. And my niece is now 21, and or excuse me, 20, but she's always been like she was our first grandkid, and she's just been my best friend since she was a baby. I used to drive every day to Layton from here just to see her.
Wow.
And I remember her pulling me aside a few months ago and just being like, you are such a different person. She's like, I missed my uncle. Because she remembers me before and, after.
Yeah.
So just, yeah, little things like that. If I could get that for one person. Oh,
You know, isn't
there's so many people that need help,
oh
and it
yeah.
just gets ignored. And
Yeah.
I wish they could all feel like we do. I do. And I wish I could just shake them.
I know, right?
Just like, it's gonna suck for like 30 days, but it'll be so much better. Like, it's tough.
Isn't it amazing the difference And what I mean by that, Chris, is when we're on something, whether it's alcohol, opioids, cocaine, whatever the heck it may be, eating,
Uh,
porn, gambling,
yep.
we spend so much time pretending to be someone that we know that we are not. We spend so much time doing our best to hide it. We spend so much time hurting the ones that love us, and a lot of times not even realizing that we're hurting them,
Yep.
right? Because it goes deep, like you said earlier.
Oh yeah.
And the feeling that's inside of us, right? So we feel more of the negativity, we feel more of the shame. I mean, especially the shame. I mean,
That's
I just remember how I felt when I had it. I mean, I dated my wife for 3 years and we got married. I was snorting cocaine every Friday and Saturday night the whole time we were dating, and she had no clue. And then a month
crazy.
and a half after we get married, I lose my job because I failed a UA because of cocaine. And the feeling I felt that I had to tell my wife, my new wife,
Yeah.
that your new husband that you thought was just this wonderful, amazing guy had been lying to you for the whole 3 years we were dating.
Yep.
The all the negative, it's just a dark, dark freaking cloud.
Yeah.
And then when we figure things out and we claw our way out of that freaking rabbit hole and we come out, when someone says what your niece said to you, what a whole different feeling, right? It's not
Oh,
that shame anymore. It's not that hurt. It's like, it's almost like you get the beams of light coming down on you and
it
you're like,
is.
oh my gosh, my life is changing for the better.
I feel like it's been my new dopamine spike in a sense.
Right.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Without and it is. It's just not like the one I was getting for the last 11 years. So, but it
Yeah.
feels a lot better. It feels a lot better. And things like that, I think, are what pushes me every day. Because you know what? No one really talks about afterwards either is the anxiety, the depression, the self loathing. Was in some dark, dark places a few months ago. Some really dark places that I never thought I would ever go.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about White Tree. Sorry, I have to bring them in because they just have helped me so much because of the continuous care that they offer. And that is just another big part of it for me. And that's the only reason I know why I got better, because I know that I have a safe place and where there's no judgment and no one's going to kick me out. And if I had a relapse, I know I could just go there in 24 hours and just restart. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's for me, that's like my comfort zone. I know that no matter what the hell happens, if something happens and I lose a family member and I end up having a relapse or something, I know that I have somewhere to go and someone who, and people like you that I can reach out to and that I love so much and I'm so grateful for. And I just hope that I can find people to get that for them, and for their families and their kids. I got a buddy struggling with it right now too. And he's like, man, I just want to be off it for the summer. I just want to be there for my kids. And I know, I
Yeah.
know the feeling. And it's just, it's crazy. We're all in the same battle.
Oh
It
yeah.
doesn't matter how far along or in, it's all the same.
Well, and it's just like we said at the start of the show. That is part of the process, right?
Yes, very
So
much.
so the whole thing goes into, I don't know. I'm just right now I'm picturing like a figure eight, right? So we
Yeah.
have that process of starting our addiction. And
Yep.
then when we finally get into it, we just continue to go around that same hamster wheel, right?
Yep.
Then when we decide to finally put down the damn shovel and stop digging and start coming out on the other side, we start going through that process again in a different way.
Definitely.
And I think for a lot of those, and I've just got to say, I've been one who was blessed. that I didn't have to go to recovery. When I said I was done, I was done.
That's
I didn't
amazing.
ever have to do through detox. Now I remember the first weekend, actually the first couple weekends I didn't use. I was sick.
Yeah.
I mean, I had the sweats as well, and I only did it 2 days a week, right? But I did it
Yeah,
for years.
definitely.
So my body was used to that party and those substances coming into
Yep,
it. And
definitely.
it's that process. You mentioned it even just a little bit ago. You don't wake up one day and go, you know what, I'm going to be a heroin addict, or I'm going to be an
Yeah.
opioid addict, and I'm going to be the best one I can be. It's that process. And
Yep.
for those of us who are working the process on the other side, we forget we didn't fall into the addiction overnight. We're
Mhm.
not going to fall into recovery overnight either. It's that process.
Yep.
Did you trust the process of becoming an addict? No,
Mm.
because you
Yep.
didn't know you were going that direction.
Wasn't hoping to, yeah,
It
that's not the
was
path I was hoping to go down, but
right, right.
great.
However, if you trust the path and that's the path you want to go on, the process of recovery, because it is exactly that, the process. You have to
Yes.
take those baby steps. You have to believe, you have to want. It
Yep.
has to be your choice because no one else is going to do it for you. However,
Nope.
there are people there. I was a guest on a podcast yesterday, and I don't remember the question that the gentleman asked me. Oh, it was about choice. And I said, "Look, let's I don't watch basketball. I'm not a big NBA fan. However, I says,
Okay.
let's picture we're playing basketball, right?
Uh-huh.
I says, someone gets fouled. They go up to the foul line, and I says, who hands them the ball? The ref hands them the ball,
Mhm.
right? So I can hand that person the ball. I can't make the guy shoot or the
Nope.
woman shoot, right?
Yep, that's
It's
right.
their choice whether they want to shoot or not.
Yep.
All I'm doing is handing them the ball. So the process of finding people and finding organizations like White Tree Medical
Mhm.
and other organizations that I mean, we are huge supporters of probably I would say 5 and 6, and it's growing a little bit of people who I believe are there for the individuals, not the money. Yeah, and these are people that I will recommend continuously and I will back 100%. And it's that process of knowing that you have somewhere to go,
Yep.
right? You have
Definitely.
someone and you need it, right? We can go back to the free throw.
Yep.
The first time you started shooting free throws, gosh, that's even tough to say, right?
That is. Yeah, you're
You
good.
had to have someone teach you some technique.
Yes.
Right? It's with
Had to have
everything,
someone
right?
walk
You
you
have to
through
have
the
someone
process.
walk you through it. They're not doing it for you, but
Nope.
they're helping you, and that's what the process of recovery is, as well
Definitely.
as the addiction, and a lot of times you have people helping you into the addiction as well.
Oh, it's 100% who you choose to surround yourself with afterwards too. Whether you, if I go back to my old lifestyle and my old friends, I'm going to be right back where I was.
Of course, yeah.
You have to cut that off, and that's hard to do, especially for a lot of people. Who, especially because there's a lot of people out there who don't have a lot of people anymore because they've been in the game for so long.
Yeah.
So even if I can be that friend for that, I tell people all the time, I don't care, call me at 3 a.m. even if you just want to bitch at me. Seriously, I don't care. Like, you want to vent to me, go for it. I want to hear your voice. I want to make sure you're doing good and see what plan we can make to just get you a little bit better day by day. Like,
Yeah.
and that's it. It's just, yeah, you're a good man, Al. You're doing some amazing
Oh,
things, buddy.
thank you. Well, I have to tip my
It's
hat off
fun.
to you as well, Chris. You're doing the same. You're doing the same, and
Open.
as the show gets going, I definitely want to bring up some, White Tree some more, and as a matter of fact, CL is going to be on the show here in about another week, I believe,
Yep.
about the
Couple days. Yep.
21st of June, and I'm
Which will
really
be nice.
looking forward to it. And
He can explain the chemistry more, and the brain part and why
yeah,
people struggle and have the relapses because our freaking brains don't work.
yeah,
And it
yeah,
takes time for your brain to come back. But that's, yeah, we'll let him go through that process.
yeah. And not beating ourselves up, right? Because again, it's that continued circle, it's that hamster
Yep.
wheel. I remember so many times that my wife would be sober for 2 or 3 days, and then she'd relapse.
Uh-huh.
And then I would be, me not understanding. I would be mean. I was ignorant.
Yeah,
I was rude. I was throwing daggers at her left and right, not
definitely.
understanding the whole process of things. And then she was already feeling guilty that she let me down again. And
Uh-huh.
then I would just piss more fuel on the fire
Yep.
to go, yeah, yep, you messed up, right?
Oh yeah.
I'm going to squirt
Oh
some
yeah.
more fuel on you, and not realizing the whole process behind it. And
Yep.
it's so crazy. I have gotten 2 calls in the past week and a half. And my producer, Brad, the owner of Resilience Talk Network, told me this was gonna happen. And
Okay.
and and I called BS on it. He goes, "You watch, you continue to do your show, you're gonna get to a point where people are gonna start calling you." And I'm like, Nah, that's not gonna happen." And it's happened, and it's been
Good.
happening for over a year. And I had 2 calls. One that I just had on Monday, my friend calls me up and he says, "I got a beautiful young lady that's sitting here in my office who's battling with addiction, and she is ready to get help.
Awesome.
She has Medicaid. Who do you recommend?" And
You know who I'm gonna say, but yeah.
whew, now's when my emotions, to be able to know that someone's calling me and saying, "I have someone that needs some help." And the only help I'm giving them is saying, "Look, these are the organizations that I personally recommend," means so freaking much to me.
Oh
And
heck
it
yeah.
may not work out, right? One of them may not work out. They may go and it
Of
may
course
not
not.
work out.
Yep.
However, I've got some other options over here.
Yes.
Check them all out. And that's what I told him. Check them all out.
And there's always options. There's
Always.
some people need inpatient. Some people can do the comfortability of outpatient. You know what I mean? There's everyone's journey is different. There's not one set thing that will just save everybody. It doesn't work that way.
Right.
And we all know that. So, but I would say for the majority of people, knowing that they can be home with their families, go to work still, not have to suffer like hell through withdrawal symptoms for 7 days or 3 days, depending on what your insurance covers for. When you do it on a more personal level and you work with them and you explain to them, look, we're going to taper this really slow. We're going to give you some meds to help combat all this stuff for 22 to 30 days. That way you're not suffering on a bed for 7 days and then stick a bow on your forehead and say, good luck, guys. See you later.
Right.
So, and that's 95% of the rehab programs. And that's because, and it's not, I don't even think it's necessarily their fault as I do that it's the insurance fault because that's all they will pay for.
Amen. I agree with
That's
that 100%.
disgusting. That,
Yeah.
I mean, what legislation makes that even, yeah, it just blows my mind. How do we expect our loved ones to get better if we can't help them?
Right.
Addicts don't have money. Addicts can't pay hundreds of thousands of dollars to go somewhere and get better. That doesn't make sense.
Well, and Chris, how many families have really gone almost broke
Oh,
by helping loved ones? How many times
countless,
have people put up their
countless.
house for mortgage, or
Yep,
put, I mean,
yep. Or a
yeah, did a
reverse.
second
Yep,
mortgage or whatever to help
yep,
their child because they
yep.
love them, right? They're doing
Exactly.
everything they can, and they're not
You
even
do anything.
realizing it's their choice. Yeah, maybe they want to go at the time. However, you
Yep,
know how that works, right? You
yep.
go for a few
Exactly.
days and you finally go, "Oh, you know what? Screw this bull crap.
Yep,
I'm out of here." And their
exactly.
parents just lost all that money.
And it's gone.
And we're leaving the life of our loved ones in the hands of freaking insurance companies.
Yep,
What
exactly.
the hell
So
do they know about
they don't know shit.
addiction and
They just know
recovery?
money.
Right.
They just know money. That's it. That's all they care about. Which is why I literally shut my business down and joined White Tree Medical because I see the difference. It's not about money. They don't, obviously,
Yeah.
no one really even knows who we are, which is incredible with our success rates. But I mean, and I had to go through a process just for that. Speaking of processes, I had to not be seen there for a while so that I could become an employee, and work there legally. Those are the things that really turned me on to them too, because it's like, well, we need to do this the right way. So let's make sure you can't be seen here by the doctor for some time. You need to find another place for your ongoing care, and they make sure and take care of you all the way through. And then all of a sudden it's like, wow, there's, and you know what? I never spent a dollar there. I never
Holy
spent a
cow.
dollar, not $1. My insurance covered all of it. They made sure my insurance covered all of it. It was all outpatient. Don't get me wrong, it was hell on some days. Some days were. I mean, I didn't realize I was allergic to sleep meds. So I was 6 days sober, hadn't slept in 9 because I was having adverse reactions to the sleep meds that they were trying to give me. So, oh, dude, it was Christmas morning. This is why my boys will never do drugs.
Yeah.
they got to witness all of this, and their dad. That's
Wow.
the hardest part. That's the hardest part. So my wife takes me to the ER on Christmas Day, and what did they try to give me? I told them I was 6 days sober, off of opiates for the first time in 11 years. And I said, I'm just having a really hard time sleeping. I haven't slept in 9 days. The sleeping meds are waking me up, not putting me to sleep. And he goes, well, let's just give you some Oxycontin. It'll put you right to bed.
You got to
The ER doc offered me Oxycontin.
After you even told him that you've been clean off.
My wife brought a booklet that she had kept track of every med that I took during detox to help with my symptoms, because everything was started out going great until I couldn't sleep. So most people don't have the reaction that I had. I didn't know that I was allergic to the sleep meds. And she's just showing him literally milligram by milligram of gabapentin and the things that are helping me. And he's like, well, let's just give you some Oxycontin. And that's all he would offer me. And he wrote me a prescription for it. And my wife ripped it up and said some choice words.
Oh, I can imagine. I just getting ready to ask you, what did she say?
Oh, she lost her mind. She lost her mind.
I bet.
And I'm just laying there, like, just trying to literally sleep. Like, I was just hoping, like, they'd give me something, like, just put me to sleep. That's all I need. I didn't need opiates. I just needed to sleep, So it just showed me how backwards our system is. Yeah. And not that it was wrong, because I know he's an ER doc and he needs to stabilize me, but Oxycontin's not stabilizing me, especially when I just told you I was off for that long after the first, you know what I mean? Like, how is that stabilizing me? That's putting me back into the addiction cycle, because I would have had to restart.
Yeah.
And that, it just blew my mind. I couldn't believe it. So,
Oxy is one of the reasons why we have such a heroin epidemic, right?
That's the only reason.
Because
in my opinion,
it's the same type of high, if I'm not mistaken, right?
It is the same dopamine spike regardless.
Easier to get.
Yep, it's insane.
Yeah.
It is over-the-counter heroin.
Basically,
it's exactly what it is. It's the same with the other prescriptions that we're learning more about because of technology. Adderall is over-the-counter methamphetamine. I mean, we use it at our facility to detox people off of meth at highly successful rates. How can we do that?
Yeah.
And we're the only facility in the nation that I'm aware of that even does that and offers that, which is incredible. Like, how are more people and more facilities not realizing, like, hey, holy shit, how come we can call Oxy over-the-counter heroin, but we can't call other, it just boggles my mind. But yeah, I mean, I was on Adderall for years for my ADHD. I contemplated giving it to one of my kids once, for his ADHD. And I know people who still prescribe it to their kids. And I'm just looking at it like, there's got to be some better options. That I don't need to give my son over-the-counter meth for ADHD, right?
Right. Yeah.
And nobody wants to talk about it. Nobody wants to say it, even though everyone knows exactly what it is. And that's the part that makes me more frustrated too, is it's like, if we were open and talked in our communities about this stuff and what our kids are taking and what we're prescribing them, and it's just insane. And no wonder they're going to grow up and be addicts, I mean,
well, of course,
synthetic, you can't get the dopamine spikes from anything but the synthetic drugs that we use. You've seen the dopamine spike scale when you came in. You've got THC at 300, what was sex, 200, right? And then you've got methamphetamine at 1250, which is the highest you can get, and opiates are 950, just right below it. So these synthetic opiates that we're prescribing our loved ones, and you can't get a dopamine spike other than from those things. And it's just sick. And it's prescribed every day. That's how mine started. I didn't start as a drug addict. I started getting Percocets, then the Percocets weren't strong enough. I'm a big guy. So then they switched me to Oxycontin. Then the Oxys took over my life. Then they switched me to Suboxone. Then they switched me to Suboxone and Oxycontin at the same time. You know what I mean? And it's just like, holy shit, what was I doing for so long? And it consumed my soul.
Oh yeah.
And it's just, that's the only way I can describe what these things do, is they consume your soul. I did things I never thought in a million years, friendships, relationships, stupid shit, because I was just numb and I didn't realize it.
Well, it's because it's not you, right? Because your head's so
Hell,
fogged.
no. That's the hardest part. That's where the shame and, the other side comes into play, where you're trying to deal with that stuff now. That is a very hard part, because I'm just like looking back, what the hell was I thinking? Or I'll be told about something and I'll be like, yeah, I have no idea what you're talking about. Like, I don't even remember.
Yeah.
And that's worse, So it's just frustrating for me. I wish we could find a better, there are better cycles, but people just don't know about them.
Right.
There's so much better ways to get better and feel better and manage your meds, and everyone attacks it from a therapy side, when we need to realize, look, this is a medical problem. If I'm addicted to something, I don't need therapy, right? I need to get off the substance so my brain can come back. Then I can understand the therapy and understand the process of getting my life back on track and doing all the things that I need to do. You can't have one or the other. They need to work together. You have to work behavioral and medical at the same time, getting yourself better.
I was just going to ask you that behavioral, because, and I know you guys know them, so my good friends over at TOSA, the other side academy, that's what they work on, right? Is the
Good.
character,
That's awesome.
the character defects and the behavioral, because they know it's not the substance.
No.
They know it's in here, right? And when you can start healing, I just posted something on Facebook the other day that says, talking about the healing starts within.
Yes. Amen.
Before you can see who you want to see on the outside, you got to heal with what's happening inside.
Yep.
And it is so true. It is so
My
true.
problem there is, where I agree just slightly differently,
Okay.
is if your brain is not functioning properly, how the hell can you heal yourself inside? So that's where I say, that's why the medical approach first of getting your brain back is the most important.
Yeah.
Then we can heal ourselves. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's no way in hell I would be where I am now if I didn't get off of what I was on first. I couldn't be on that stuff and still feel this way, and be getting help behaviorally, mentally, however you want to call it. And if you don't get off your substances or find a way to manage them with different things than narcotics or opiates, then it's just not going to matter, because your brain doesn't comprehend what's going on. All it can think about is that next dopamine spike. And that's all it's ever going to do. And that's why people don't get better. And it's sad.
Yeah. It's like having a room full of smoke, right? Your brain's full of smoke, and you open the windows and turn on a fan, right? And you start clearing the shit out so you can start seeing clearly. Right?
Please, please let me get it. Let me find a way. Yeah.
Right.
I hear you.
So Chris, I got a question for you. And I hope I didn't miss this, because every once in a while I do, but I'm usually really good at really paying attention to what our guests are saying. What got you to finally put down that shovel? And as being a guest on a show yesterday, the gentleman was talking about, he was talking to some lady he had as a customer. He does Lyft and Uber, and he was taking her to a rehab.
Interesting.
And she had gone the day before and went in for a couple hours, then left. And then she thought about it and decided she needed to go back. And he was saying, so I guess you finally hit your rock bottom. And me, I'm just going to speak my mind too, because we all look at things differently, right? Just like you kind of looked at things differently. And I says, well, really, Anthony, what is rock bottom? Because I've heard people say they hit their rock bottom and then realized they still had the shovel and they went even deeper.
Oh,
and
yeah.
then they went
You can
even
always go
deeper.
deeper.
So what is someone's really rock bottom? You know, it's to me like I'm a firm believer that there is no finish line when it comes to bettering yourself. You continue
No,
to work on it.
yeah,
So
I agree.
what was it? Something woke you up. Something gave
Yep,
you that aha moment to go,
yep,
you know what? I'm done digging
yep.
and I'm letting go of this son of a gun and I'm going to start putting the dirt back in the hole and climb my way out of this.
Combination of a couple things, but I would say the biggest factor for me, this is really hard to admit, um, was seeing my wife's unhappiness. I could feel it. She knew I was better than what I was, and she just told me one day. She's like, "Look, dude, you're just, pardon my language, you're just fucking everything up." And I could just see it, how much she meant it, and how miserable she was. And that was it for me. And I just decided, the hell am I doing? You know. And even then, I didn't really even understand. That's the crazy part.
Yeah.
And I don't think you really fully understand until you're done and starting to heal. Because then all of a sudden you just start looking back and it's like, holy shit. You know, I just didn't realize how bad it had gotten. And I didn't realize how much it was consuming me.
Yeah. Well, how
Yeah,
could you again, right? Because you're full of fog. I mean, you don't
yeah,
know.
yeah, for sure. But luckily, I was not fogged enough to see how unhappy she was, because she was, and it was my fault. And I'm gonna fix it. That's
Yeah.
for sure. I'm gonna fix it.
Man, I tip my hat off to your wife because I definitely, although it's two different things, however, the addiction is the addiction, and yeah, I can feel her pain, right? Because I was
Oh yeah,
watching my wife slowly kill herself right in front of me, and I didn't want to stick around to watch it. However,
yeah,
also at the same time, I love her, and I don't want
yep,
to leave her alone, right? Because everyone else has left her alone. Everyone else didn't want anything to do with her.
definitely.
And it's a hard decision. So kudos to your wife for sticking it out and
She's an amazing woman.
knowing you were not that person.
Yeah, and help me recognize. And to the point of you saying, especially your wife was killing herself. It was so bad for me. Like when I entered detox, my heart rate was 48. I'm a
Oh,
36-year-old healthy guy. I might have be a little overweight, but I'm still very active. I work out every day. My resting heart rate was 48.
holy
Doc, like, dude, you
cow.
could have just went home and went to sleep and not woke
Not
up.
woke up. Yeah.
You know, and that's how bad the opiates, after being on them for as long as I was, had just slowed me down. I mean, going to the bathroom, I was lucky. I was lucky to have a bowel movement once a week for
Oh
like
my
5 years.
gosh.
Yeah. I mean, I took anything you can possibly imagine to help you go for 5 years, and it didn't. I mean, maybe once a week. And it's just little things that I look back on and how bad it just shuts your body down.
Yeah.
And it's incredible. And I think that's a big factor that people, hopefully we can start showing people that, by people who are in recovery, and they can start showing the people who are getting ready or wanting to get started, like, look how much faster this happens. Look at the way technology's coming. We can start to get you here so much quicker. You don't have to go through hell and agony to get better. And I just think those are points that, if more addicts saw, they would be more inclined, because the only reason an addict doesn't get better is because they don't want to withdraw. Let's be honest. They don't want to go through that shitty cycle of feeling that way. That's why they don't get better. they're all terrified of it. I was terrified of it for years. I watched my brother go through it. I was just like, I do not want to feel like that. So when I found a place that told me I didn't have to feel like that, even though I thought they were full of shit at the time, of course, 100% I did. I mean, it took me a year of going there and getting prescribed just my Suboxone. They got me off the Oxycontin, and doc's like, you're not supposed to be taking these together. Whoever was prescribing you them is an idiot. And he was, and that's why he's no longer a doctor anymore. But see, and it was a combination of things that brought me to where I was, right?
Yeah.
And I don't think accidents happen. So I know I was led there for a reason. I know, just like Shaner, I was talking to Shane. What's funny about that is I was talking to Shaner about drug court, because I knew he's been a PD officer, and I was
Yeah.
like, this could help so many people in drug court. I was like, we've got contracts with these insurances that could help all these people and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, you know what? You need to talk to my buddy Al. And I just like, and how funny is that? That's how it came about. I wasn't even, I didn't know who you were. We didn't
Yeah.
even know each other, and yeah, I love you, Shaner. Thank you.
Well,
It's
there are
just
no
awesome.
coincidences, right?
Negative.
I do
Agree.
believe that there's no such thing as coincidences. Things happen for a reason.
Yes,
And again, for me, this is just my belief. It's those angels guiding certain people
for sure.
to say your name or to lead you in the direction where you're going to run into someone. And it's so crazy how it works out. And before we go further, I really
You're
have
good.
to share this. So this is what I mean by this. I have a lady on LinkedIn
Okay.
named Darcy. Lovely, lovely lady. Reaches out to me on LinkedIn and said, or no, it was an introduction through a friend named by the name of Alex.
Okay.
And it's like, hey, Alex, I'd like to introduce you to Darcy. Darcy, I'd like to introduce you to Al. I think you two should meet. Okay.
Okay.
Awesome. So Darcy reaches out to me. Hi, Al. Nice to meet you. I'd like to schedule a time to chat. Hi, Darcy. Pleasure meeting you too. Yes, let's schedule a time where we can do a Zoom call and we'll sit down and chat, right?
Okay.
So we schedule our Zoom call. We got on that call, and within 5 minutes, it's like her and I have known each other all our lives.
Awesome.
We ran out of time. I think I had something going on, and so we're like, hey, let's schedule another one as soon as you're done, right? So we scheduled another. Long story short, we did 4 Zoom calls that day. 4 of them. Now, what's really weird is she starts talking about a friend of hers in Florida, and what brought up Florida is I said, yeah, we've been offered a TV deal with Traverse TV out of Florida, Channel 11, and I was saying it's a long process, and there's a lot of different directions to go, and we need to find investors, we need to find sponsors to kind of help get this thing going, and we really believe we can make a difference in a lot of people's lives by doing this. And she goes, oh, I got a really good friend in Florida, and now my friend Darcy's in Chicago. Okay. My good friend is in Florida, and she's doing amazing things in this community. And she starts talking about what's happening, what her friend's doing. And I'm going, is your friend's name Adrian? And she goes, yeah. I'm like, you've got to be flipping kidding me. And I said her last name, and she goes, that's her. How do you know her? And I'm like, I was just a guest on her podcast like 2 months ago. And we just, both of us are looking at things the way all of us are looking at it, right? She's out there. Her community is a small community, and it's like littered with addiction, littered. And they don't have enough beds for people. They don't have enough help for these people. And now that's what she wants to do. She wants to help grow, so they have more places to bring people into for them to get the help.
That's awesome.
That's no coincidence.
No, hell no.
We met for a reason.
Yep.
So yeah, no coincidence.
I love it. And look at how Chicago, Florida, it's not like we're super close,
right?
What I mean? These are some big leaps and jumps to be connecting with the same people. So
I know.
It's pretty awesome.
Well, and I have to ditto off of that. I mean, thank you, Shane. Yeah, because the introduction with Chris, man, Chris, I feel like I've known you for a long time, and we only met like a month and a half ago. And when you guys invited me to come in and tour White Pine, or White
White
Tree,
Tree. You're
excuse me,
good.
White
Same thing.
Tree.
Same thing.
I went in there, checked it out, and I was expecting probably about a 30 to 45-minute meeting, and I ended up being there over 2.5 hours. I think 2.5
Yep.
hours. We
It was,
sat
yeah, it was
down and
long.
we talked, and I love what you guys are about. I love what you were doing. And when I left, you had quite a few people that were out there waiting to come in, and you helped my wife just a couple of weeks ago. Thank you so much. And I
Anytime.
just want to throw out there, man, they were extremely busy, and Chris busted his rear end to help get my wife in there. So Chris, thank you.
Of
Thank you
course.
so much for that.
Of course. I would do it again tomorrow for anyone else who calls too. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
why
you
I'm
would.
doing this. I'm just want people to freaking feel better, man. I really do. That's the
Yeah.
only never my dad was an alcoholic my whole life. My parents were on the verge of divorce every weekend. They know I can say this. They're gonna listen to this, so they're gonna be
Yeah.
pretty mad about that. Um and it gives me a new respect for my mom, especially knowing what she was going through. And I think my dad's 74 this year, and he's either 13 or 14 years sober this year,
Wow, that's
which
awesome.
means he didn't get sober until he was what, 59, 60. And the difference that it's made in his life the last 13, doesn't matter where you are, how long you've been on it. There's
Right.
never a bad time to get help and get better. Doesn't matter your age, how long you've been in the game. There's no contributing factor for you to not get better. And
Indeed.
that's my whole message to everybody. That's what I want my message to be to anyone is, if you knew the 360 milligrams of Oxycontin I took a day with 16 milligrams of Suboxone and how the hell I'm still here, I don't know. I should be a statistic.
Yeah.
I really should be, but I'm not. And I feel like I'm not, so I could do this.
I agree.
And that's why I want to do it. And I've had so many, it would blow your mind the amount of funerals and friends that I've lost. I mean, I'm again 38 years old on Saturday, and I bet you I've buried 15 of my closest personal friends over the last 10 years to suicide because they couldn't get off the stuff, overdose, just this endless pit that nobody talks about. And I mean, it's the number one killer from ages 18 to 45.
Yeah.
That is a freaking problem. That is a real problem that nobody talks about.
And
And
it's
that's why
because they
places like you are so amazing, because we can talk about it. You know what I mean?
right.
And you're getting the word out and letting people know, like, holy hell, there's freaking hope. And there's people who've been through, believe me, what I was taking was a lot. And anyone who knows anything about opiates realizes how much that is. If I can get through it, anybody can freaking get through it.
Yeah.
you know and I
Well,
I want to say it too. They got me off after 11 years. They got me off in 22 days, and I haven't had one relapse.
wow. That's amazing.
I It's just crazy. I don't even I can't even think about it, honestly, because it just makes me just so grateful to all the people in my life who've helped me and get back to where I am. And if anyone watches this that over the last 11 years that knew me before or didn't know me and I've done something, I'm so sorry. I hope you can accept my sincerest apologies.
It's not who you are today, buddy.
I know. I know.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know who you were back then, and I see who you are as a person today, and to me, that's what matters. And you mentioned at the very, very beginning of this show how much love and kindness you have for everyone, and we need more of that in this world. And
Amen.
we need to also not be so quick to judge and understand. I did a post on Facebook with this big circle, and I think it said you, and then it had this little teeny dot that said what you know about an individual. So
Yeah.
so basically,
Nothing.
we know nothing about what someone's going through in their life, and I have to say, I'll even share something about my parents. So here I am, I'm going to be 60 next month, right? In July. And
Fountain of youth, buddy.
thanks. And my father passed away a year ago this past February, and we didn't see each other, speak to one another for over 5.5 years. So basically, last time I went and saw him, he's pretty much on his deathbed, right?
Yeah.
However, he always saw me as the same individual that I was as a teenager. He still thought I was the exact same person,
It's
not
amazing how
even
that is.
wanting to take the blinders off to go. And he's even told my mom one time years ago, he's changed. Well, yeah,
Yeah.
of course I've changed. And I've changed in a whole different direction, right? Because why do I want to stay on the same path that I'm going on? Because it's not getting me anywhere, right?
Yeah.
And it had
Exactly.
to take a tragic thing to happen in my life of me losing my job
Uh-huh.
to do that.
And
However, again, that's not a coincidence.
no, heck no.
That happened for a reason, and it because it still took me up until 2 years ago before I realized the path that I was on,
Yeah.
right? So out of the last
The hardest
14
part.
years since 2009, it took 12 years. However, that 12 years was part of my journey to get there.
Yep.
And it seems like a long time, but if you guys go back and you think about 12 years from today, you're going to go, my gosh, really, that wasn't that long ago.
No.
I mean, literally, it was a blink. I mean, look, 2023 's halfway over already, right? And it
Literally.
just started.
Yeah. Yep.
So, yeah. And
It's
you
you're
mentioned
absolutely
never
right.
too late. It doesn't. I was talking with a friend the other day, and we were talking about Colonel Sanders that started
Yeah.
Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Yep.
Well, actually, he didn't start it.
I
Anyway, I know the
yes.
documentary on it.
Yes.
However, the guy was like 60 or 65 years of age.
Uh-huh.
He became a millionaire.
Yep.
So it's never ever too late, even if you're in your 70s or in your 80s, right?
No,
It's
heck
not too
no.
late to make a
So
change.
that's the thing is everyone this isn't somewhere and not somewhere else. This is everywhere. This
Yeah.
is no matter your race, no matter how much money you make, no matter doesn't matter. It's everywhere. It's stay-at-home moms, it's dads, it's everybody.
No discrimination.
No. And addiction does not
No,
discriminate.
it does
That is
not
no
discriminate.
joke. So in a way, we need to be more like addiction and not discriminate, but without the addiction,
In a
uh,
healthy way.
in a very healthy manner of getting people better and showing
Amen.
them that they can get better. So,
Amen. Well,
yeah,
Chris,
buddy.
I know you're home today with your three boys,
Yes, sir.
school being off, and I don't want to keep you from your family.
You're good.
One last thing, my friend. Um, well, let's go two.
Okay.
Share real quickly a little bit more about White Tree Medical, and then the very last question after you're done with this. What would be, and I know you shared it at the beginning, but just say it one more time about what's your main message to our listeners today.
Okay.
And you don't have to do it in that order if you don't want.
No, you're good. I'll go with the main message again. My main message for today is no matter how far down the rabbit hole you are, no matter your age, no matter what you're doing, there's never a wrong time to not get better. You can get better at any moment if you will just choose to. The reason White Tree Medical is so special to me, one, they're an outpatient detox facility. You can relapse 20 times and they will see you in 24 hours. Doesn't matter how many times you screw up, doesn't matter. There is no judgment. There 90% of it, I don't quote me on that, but the majority of insurances, you've seen the list,
Yeah,
are
it's
covered
huge.
100%. So which means people not only can come in, get better, they will continuously get better for the next 3 to 5 years until their brains come back. Plus they have the resources where you see an addictionologist, you see a behavioralist. So you're not, and we don't even get paid for that part of it, which is crazy, right?
Yeah,
But we
yeah,
know
it
the
is crazy.
importance of offering it so people will continue to be better and get better. I did this from the comfort of my own home. I worked the entire time until I had the reactions to the sleep meds. I know how well the program works. I know the numbers. I've seen it. You don't have an 80% success rate of keeping people clean after 1 year of going through your program without doing something right. Those are published numbers. That's not something we can just claim. That's through 8 years of operating that we can prove.
Yeah.
So we're obviously doing something different, and we're attacking it from the side that nobody else wants to.
Yeah, right.
We want the people that everyone else doesn't want, right? We want them. I want anyone to come to this facility. I don't care who you are, what insurance you have. We are open to everyone. And if you don't have insurance, we're a fourth of the price of anywhere else. And CL will go over that more in a couple days.
Yeah.
And like I said, this isn't just an answer to everybody's prayers. Certain people need certain things. Certain people need to be stabilized and inpatient. But once you're there, there's no reason you shouldn't be able to do this from the comfort of your own home with the support of your friends and family. Because that's really the only way people are ever going to get better anyway. If we don't have a good support system, we're not going to stay clean.
Amen.
If we don't have continuous care for the next 3 to 5 years, you're not going to stay clean. You did, but you're a 1%er. And I know your personality, so I know why you're a 1%er. But most people can't do that. That's just life, and that's just addiction. Most people cannot do that.
Well, and you touch on something too that, Chris, I really do believe that something needs to change. And there are a lot more organizations out there now for family members, right? Al-Anon's been around for a lot of years, and
Yep.
it wasn't a fit for me. However, it's a fit for a lot of people, and it's helped a lot of people.
Yep.
I am a true believer now. When a loved one goes through inpatient, outpatient, whatever it may be,
Yep.
I believe the closest loved ones need to go through some type of program as well.
For
Because
sure.
I believe my good friend Dave DeRocher even said, if you take an addict and you put him back into a family circle that doesn't understand addiction, the same type of things are going to happen, right? Because
Yep.
I did the same stuff over and over and over for 7, 8 years with my wife. And I had a buddy say, well, how did it work out for you? I'm like,
Yep.
well, it didn't. However, I still kept trying, right? I still kept putting my hand on the hot burner, even though it said hot, don't touch,
Yes.
because I was expecting different results every single time.
Yes.
So I do believe something down the road, and who knows, I could be a part of it, or maybe be asked, or I
Heck
don't
yeah.
know. You never know
Heck
where
yeah.
it's going to go, because something needs to change with that.
It
Because
does.
we got to get the family members to understand what's really happening, because it's not the drugs, it's not the alcohol,
Yep.
it's not the eating, the gambling. That's just the Band-Aid.
Yep.
They're just doing their best to mask something. None of
And
us
that's
wait.
why my wife, when she came into my appointment with White Tree, and when I met with the doc and he explained the program and he explained and showed me the brain and how my brain's working, and he's explaining it to my wife, like, look, this is why your husband's not getting better. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he's like, this is what's going on. And then they're like, hey, do you want to come in and talk about this some more? You can see the behavioralist. That's the type of place we are. And we do that for 3 to 5 years. So you can keep staying clean. That might be my new message today. If you do not continue to get help, if you go and just detox somewhere for 7 days or 3 days or a month, if you don't continue to get yourself help, you will not stay clean. There isn't an addict who wouldn't agree with me.
Yeah.
So that might be a part of my message.
I love it. I love it.
We have to keep helping each other, all of us.
Yes, we do.
Keep sharing our stories, keep getting on Al's podcast, and because the reach is everything. The reach is everything. There's people who needed to hear this today. There's people when I stand up in church and share it, you know what I mean? It's just, there's someone needed to hear it that day. I don't know who, and I just hope that it reaches them.
Yeah. Well, and when these shows post on social media, a lot of people respond to it, right?
Yes.
And we've had quite a few people go, thank you. I just heard something today that I needed to hear,
Good.
or thank you for being so vulnerable. Thank you for sharing your voice, right? There are people out there who are needing support from all types of different areas, right? And,
Yeah.
and I'm not saying just to promote the show here. This is
Oh
just
no, I know what
one
you mean.
little teeny tiny. This is just a speck of sand, man, on a
Yep.
whole. It takes all of us, right? It takes all that sand to make a beach, not one little
Yep.
speck.
You're right.
And when we're all out there supporting one another, who are there supporting the individuals
Yep.
that are not there because of the money that's coming in?
Exactly.
That's the beach we're going to build.
Yes. It's going to be a big one.
Yeah, and it's going to be a big one.
Everyone's going to be welcome.
Yep.
Everybody. Get in here. Just get in here and let's get you better. Like,
I love it. I
that's
love it.
it.
Well, Chris, thank you so much for your time. Man, I am so blessed and feel so grateful today to have you on the show, and I look forward to seeing the reaction of the show when it comes out next week. And
Me too.
yeah, I appreciate your vulnerability. Just sharing your thoughts and feelings, man. I know it's not easy, and listeners, you saw that today from both of us. It's not easy sharing what we share at times. It's however you could see it comes from the heart, right? And yeah, sometimes we get emotional, and it's okay because that goes to prove it's from the heart. And that's what I love about doing this show, and I doing it raw.
Yeah.
That's why I don't send 20 questions to our listeners, because I just want to. I am a firm believer that when I say my prayers on Thursday morning and I ask God to help direct the show whichever way it needs to go, it's never been
Amen.
steered in the wrong direction. It's always gone the direction it needs to go,
Yes.
because there's someone that needs to hear it, and that person will hear it that's supposed to.
Yes.
Yeah.
You
So
are
thank you.
absolutely right. And thank you for the opportunity. It means the world. I hope that
Absolutely.
one person will get them.
Well, I'm going to throw this out there too before we sign off. For Chris's parents, who he said will probably listen to this show, I'd love to have you guys come on the show, right? To talk about what it's like being on the other side, and
Yeah.
what it's like seeing your child that you love so much go through what they're going through. So
Yeah.
if you're interested, reach out to Chris. He knows how to contact me.
You're the man. Oh, you're killing me. I'm gonna die for that one. I'm
All
gonna die for
right,
that
right.
one.
Wouldn't
I
that be
love it.
great?
Heck yeah. I love it.
All right,
Hey,
guys. Hey, again, Chris, thank you. Thank you, Shane Whiting, for introducing us. Thank you, White Tree, for all the stuff that you do to help other individuals. And thank you to all our listeners, our guests, co-hosts, which we haven't had one for a long time because we're still not in the studio. All our sponsors, Resilience Talk Network, guys, we couldn't do this without all of you. You guys are the ones that's really making the difference. I mean, in all honesty, you guys are the one that's making a difference. All we do is have a platform for you to come on and share what you want to share. So again, thank you. I love and appreciate every single one of you. We're going to end it with this, as we do every week. Remember, addiction is giving up everything for one thing, and recovery is giving up one thing for everything.